Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're embarking on something truly extraordinary. We're diving deep into the most forbidden corners of Star Wars lore to uncover the ancient Sith Lords whose dark legacy shaped the galaxy for over 25,000 years. These aren't the Sith you know from the movies. These are the primordial masters of the dark side, the forgotten emperors whose names were erased from history, whose power was so absolute that even Palpatine himself trembled when he discovered their secrets. Before we begin this journey into the shadows of galactic history, take a moment to hit that like button if you're ready for tonight's epic adventure. And if you love these deep explorations into the hidden mysteries of beloved universes, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. I'd love to hear from our global community, so drop a comment and let me know what part of the world you're listening from, and what time it is where you are. There's something magical about knowing we're all connected across the globe, sharing these incredible stories together. Now get comfortable wherever you are. Maybe dim the lights a little, settle into your favorite spot, grab that cozy blanket, and prepare yourself for a tale that spans millennia. Tonight, we're not just telling a story, we're uncovering the truth. Picture this. Deep beneath the crimson sands of an ancient world, in a tomb older than recorded galactic history, lies a cracked holocron. Its crystalline surface flickers with dying light, and within its fractured memory banks rests a secret so dangerous that it was buried alongside its keeper 3,000 years ago. The holocron speaks of the first Sith Lord, the one whose name became legend, whose power became myth, and whose influence echoes even now through the corridors of galactic power. But here's what the historians won't tell you. What the Jedi archives have kept sealed for millennia. This ancient Sith Lord didn't die. He didn't fade into the Force like other fallen masters. Instead, he discovered something that would terrify even the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He learned how to make his essence immortal, how to whisper across the centuries, how to guide the rise and fall of entire civilizations from beyond death itself. The holocron reveals fragments of his final message, recorded moments before his physical form was destroyed. His voice, distorted by age and power, speaks of a grand design that would unfold over thousands of years. He speaks of chosen vessels, of bloodlines carefully cultivated across generations, of wars orchestrated not for conquest, but for a far more sinister purpose. And in the final, most chilling moment of the recording, he speaks directly to whoever would find this message, as if he knew exactly who would be listening, exactly when they would discover his tomb. He says, and I quote, "The rule of two was never the end. It was merely the beginning. For in the final hour, when the galaxy burns and hope seems lost, the ancient compact will be fulfilled. The Sith will rise not as masters of the dark side, but as the dark side itself made manifest. And you who seeks this knowledge, you are not here by accident. You are here because the time has come." The recording ends there, but the implications are staggering. Every Sith Lord you've ever heard of, from Darth Revan to Darth Vader, from the ancient Dark Lords of the Sith to Emperor Palpatine himself, they were all part of a design that began over 25,000 years ago. They were all connected by something far more sinister than philosophy or training. They were connected by the will of this first, nameless Sith Lord, whose consciousness has guided galactic events from the shadows of death. But who was he? How did he achieve this impossible immortality? And most terrifying of all, what was the ultimate purpose of his grand design? What did he mean when he spoke of the ancient compact? And why, after all these millennia, are his plans finally coming to fruition? The answers lie scattered across the galaxy, like fragments of a shattered mirror, hidden in forgotten tombs, buried in ancient archives, whispered in the Force echoes of long-dead worlds. They lie in the rise of the first Sith species on Korriban, in the forbidden experiments of Exar Kun, in the mysterious transformation of Revan from Jedi to Sith, and back again. They can be found in Darth Bane's discovery of the Rule of Two, in Plagueis' obsession with immortality, and in Palpatine's seemingly perfect execution of a plan that took 1,000 years to unfold. But most importantly, the answers lie in a story that has never been fully told. A timeline that reveals the terrifying truth about the nature of the dark side itself. Tonight, we're going to piece together that timeline, moment by moment, Sith Lord by Sith Lord, until the complete picture emerges from the shadows. This is the story of how a single being's ambition became a galactic curse that lasted for millennia. This is the story of the Ancient Sith Lords, and how their dark legacy continues to shape the Star Wars universe in ways you never imagined. This is a journey into the deepest mysteries of the Force, where the line between legend and reality disappears entirely. So close your eyes. Let your imagination transport you to a galaxy far, far away, and prepare yourself for the most epic tale of power, corruption, and cosmic horror ever told. Our journey begins now, in the time before time, when the first shadows fell across the stars, and the dark side of the Force first whispered its terrible promises to those who would listen. The ancient Sith Lords are waiting. Their story is about to unfold, and nothing in the galaxy will ever be the same. 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, before the Galactic Empire, before the Republic itself drew its first breath, there existed a world where the Force flowed like rivers of liquid fire through ancient stone. This was Korriban, the birth world of the Sith, where crimson sands stretched endlessly beneath twin suns that cast everything in shades of blood and shadow. Here, in the Valley of the Dark Lords, towering pyramids and carved monuments reach toward the heavens like grasping fingers, each one a tomb containing secrets that would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization. You stand at the edge of this valley now, not as a casual observer, but as something far more significant. You are a seeker of truth, a historian of the Force whose bloodline carries traces of both light and dark, making you uniquely suited to walk between worlds that others fear to explore. Your connection to the Force is subtle but unmistakable, allowing you to sense the whispers of ancient power that drift like phantom voices across the desolate landscape. You've spent years studying fragments of Sith lore, piecing together contradictory accounts and half-remembered legends, but tonight you've come to the source itself. Beside you stands your guide and companion, an entity that exists as both flesh and light, both memory and present reality. Master Kef was once a Jedi historian who dedicated his life to understanding the dark side, not to embrace it, but to protect others from its seductive power. His physical form was lost centuries ago, during a confrontation with ancient Sith spirits, but his consciousness survived, preserved within a unique holocron that appears as shifting geometric patterns of blue and gold energy. His wisdom spans millennia, and his voice carries the weight of someone who has witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. The Valley of the Dark Lords stretches before you like a wound carved into the planet's surface. Massive stone heads, weathered by eons of sandstorms, gaze down with empty eye sockets that seem to track your movement. These are the faces of Sith Lords whose names have been lost to time, rulers of an empire that existed when the galaxy itself was young. The very air here thrums with residual dark side energy, creating an atmosphere so thick with ancient power that breathing feels like drawing liquid into your lungs. As you descend into the valley, Master Kef's holocron pulses with gentle light, providing both illumination and protection against the oppressive darkness that radiates from every carved stone. His voice emerges from the device, carrying the measured tones of someone who has spent centuries contemplating the mysteries you're about to explore. The danger here is not immediate death, he explains, As you walk between towering monuments, the danger is seduction. Every step you take in this place, you're walking through layers of accumulated dark side energy. The ancient Sith didn't simply die here. They poured their essence into the very stones, into the sand beneath your feet, into the air itself. They wanted their power to endure, and in many ways it has. Your footsteps echo strangely in the vast space, creating sounds that seem to linger far longer than they should. The twin suns hang low on the horizon, casting long shadows that move and shift in ways that don't quite match the light sources above. This is your first hint that Korriban operates according to rules that transcend normal physics, where the Force itself has become so concentrated that reality bends around the will of ancient masters. You've come here following clues, discovered in the deepest vaults of the Jedi archives, references to a timeline that doesn't match any official galactic history. According to these fragments, the Sith weren't simply dark Jedi who fell to corruption. They were something far older, far more fundamental to the galaxy's spiritual ecosystem. The pieces of evidence you've gathered suggest that the conflict between light and dark, Jedi and Sith, isn't a philosophical disagreement that got out of hand. It's the continuation of a war that began before either order existed in their current forms. Master Kef guides you toward the largest tomb in the valley, a structure so massive that it seems to have been carved from a single mountain. The entrance is flanked by statues of beings that don't look entirely human, their faces bearing features that suggest a different evolutionary path, a different relationship with the Force itself. These are representations of the original Sith species, the red-skinned humanoids who first discovered how to channel the dark side of the Force not as a corruption of light, but as a fundamental aspect of cosmic balance. As you approach the tomb's entrance, your Force sensitivity allows you to perceive layers of history that exist beyond normal sight. You can sense the presence of countless beings who walked this path before you, their emotions and intentions leaving permanent impressions in the Force itself. Fear, ambition, rage, and something else. Something that surprises you with its complexity. There's genuine love here too. Devotion and loyalty that transcends death itself. The ancient Sith weren't simply monsters driven by hatred. They were beings capable of the full spectrum of emotion, including forms of attachment and dedication that put them at odds with Jedi philosophy. The tomb's interior is a marvel of ancient engineering, with corridors that extend deep into Korriban's crust and chambers carved with such precision that they seem to have been shaped by the Force itself rather than conventional tools. Hieroglyphs cover every surface, telling stories in a language that predates Basic by millennia. Master Kef's holocron provides translation, revealing fragments of an epic that spans generations of Sith rulers. Here you learn about King Ada's, the first being to unite the Sith species, under a single banner, whose reign lasted for centuries, and whose tomb supposedly contains artifacts of unimaginable power. You discover references to the infinite empire of the Rakata, Force-sensitive beings who enslaved entire star systems, using technology that blended science with dark side energy. Most intriguingly, you find repeated mentions of something called the Great Work, a project that apparently continued across multiple generations of Sith Lords, each one adding their own contribution to a design whose ultimate purpose remains hidden. Your exploration reveals that this isn't simply a tomb, it's a library, a repository of knowledge that was meant to be discovered by someone exactly like you, someone with the ability to perceive truth beyond the official histories written by the victors. The deeper you venture into the structure, the more you realize that your arrival here wasn't coincidence or academic curiosity. Something has been guiding your research, leading you to the right sources, the right fragments of evidence, the right moment to make this journey. Master Kef's presence grows more substantial as you delve deeper into the tomb, as if proximity to such concentrated dark side energy strengthens his ability to manifest. He shares his growing concern that your investigation may have attracted attention from forces that have remained dormant for centuries, ancient consciousnesses that view any disturbance of their rest as either threat or opportunity. The Force whispers around you constantly now, carrying voices from across the millennia, and you begin to understand that this journey is about to become something far more significant than historical research. You're about to uncover truths that will change not just your understanding of galactic history, but your understanding of the Force itself, and your own place in the cosmic struggle between light and darkness. The moment of decision arrives as you stand before an ancient stone altar carved with symbols that seem to shift and writhe when viewed directly. Master Kef's holocron pulses with urgent light as he materializes more fully beside you, his translucent form flickering between the wise Jedi historian he once was and something that carries traces of the darkness he studied for so long. "This is where it begins," he says, his voice carrying weight that transcends mere sound. "What you're about to undertake will change you fundamentally. The knowledge we seek isn't simply historical data that can be filed away in archives. It's living truth that becomes part of whoever possesses it. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" You place your hand on the altar's surface, feeling the cool stone pulse with energy that predates civilization itself. Through your Force connection, you perceive the presence of something vast and patient, an intelligence that has been waiting in the depths of Korriban for exactly this moment. Your acceptance doesn't require words. The Force carries your intention directly into the ancient consciousness that dwells within the tomb's deepest chambers. The altar responds to your touch by projecting holographic images that fill the air around you with scenes from the galaxy's earliest history. You watch civilizations rise and fall in accelerated time, witness the first beings to discover the Force, and begin the long journey toward understanding its dual nature. But these aren't the sanitized histories taught in academic institutions. These are raw, unfiltered accounts that show the messy reality of galactic development, the mistakes and compromises that shaped everything that followed. Master Kef begins to share fragments of lore that he's gathered across centuries of research, pieces of the puzzle that never quite fit together until now. He speaks of ancient Jedi texts that reference a time before the traditional understanding of light and dark sides, when the Force was viewed as a single entity with multiple aspects, each necessary for cosmic balance. He describes archaeological discoveries that suggest the earliest Force users weren't divided into opposing factions but worked together as custodians of galactic stability. Your investigation officially begins as you accept the quest to uncover the true timeline of Sith evolution, to trace the path that led from ancient unity to eternal conflict. The holographic projections show you glimpses of your destination, ruins scattered across multiple worlds where pieces of the complete story lie hidden. Each location holds fragments of a larger truth, but accessing them will require facing guardians both living and dead, challenges that will test not just your knowledge but your fundamental understanding of reality itself. The first mythological hints emerge from the altar's projections, showing you glimpses of records that predate known galactic history by thousands of years. You see references to something called the Prime Directive, not a law or regulation, but an cosmic imperative that guided the actions of the earliest Force users. Ancient warnings speak of a great sundering that would divide the Force against itself, creating the duality that modern beings take for granted, but which represents a fundamental wound in the galaxy's spiritual fabric. Strange omens begin to manifest around you as your commitment to this quest deepens. The temperature in the tomb drops noticeably, and the hieroglyphs on the walls begin to glow with faint phosphorescent light that reveals hidden layers of text beneath the visible symbols. Master Kef's holocron starts receiving transmissions from unknown sources, fragments of communication that seem to originate from other archaeological sites across the galaxy, as if your presence here has activated a network of ancient monitoring systems. The emotional weight of departure settles over you as you realize that accepting this quest means leaving behind the familiar framework of established galactic history. Everything you thought you knew about the Jedi, the Sith, the Republic, and the Empire becomes provisional knowledge that must be re-examined in light of what you're about to discover. Master Kef acknowledges this sacrifice, sharing his own experience of having his worldview completely restructured by exposure to ancient truths. You spend time examining the artifacts that the altar reveals from hidden chambers throughout the tomb complex. Ancient lightsaber crystals that predate the traditional red and blue color coding, their natural hues suggesting that the association between crystal color and force alignment is a later development rather than a fundamental property. Meditation aids carved from materials that don't match any known mineral composition, their surfaces covered with equations that seem to describe the mathematical relationship between consciousness and cosmic energy. The world building expands as Master Kef guides you through chambers that showcase different aspects of ancient Sith culture. These aren't the stereotypical scenes of cruelty and domination that popular histories emphasize, but complex societies that developed sophisticated approaches to governance, art, and spiritual development. You see evidence of Sith philosophers who spent lifetimes contemplating the nature of suffering and transformation, of Sith artists whose works captured emotions so perfectly that viewing them creates temporary emotional resonance across species barriers. Your character development deepens as you confront the reality that your motivations for this quest aren't purely academic. Through meditation within the tomb's force-saturated environment, you access memories that don't belong to your conscious experience. Glimpses of past lives or genetic memories that suggest your bloodline has been connected to these events across multiple generations. You're not just investigating ancient history, you're uncovering your own origins and the forces that shaped your family's destiny across millennia. The departure from familiar academic territory becomes literal as you and Master Kef prepare to leave Korriban's surface and begin the interstellar portion of your investigation. The ancient network that activated in response to your presence has identified specific locations where additional fragments of the timeline await discovery. Each destination represents a different era of Sith development, from their earliest origins through their transformation into the hidden masters who would eventually produce Palpatine and Vader. Master Kef shares his growing certainty that your quest is being guided by intelligence far beyond anything either of you initially suspected. The synchronicities are too perfect, the timing too precise for this to be coincidental discovery. Something has been orchestrating events to bring you to this moment, to ensure that the true timeline would be revealed precisely when the galaxy needs to understand its hidden history. As you stand at the threshold between known and unknown truth, the Force itself seems to pause around you, as if the entire galaxy is holding its breath in anticipation of what you're about to uncover. The ancient Sith Lords whose stories you seek aren't simply historical figures whose time has passed. They remain active participants in galactic events, their influence extending across death itself through methods that challenge every assumption about the nature of consciousness and cosmic power. Your journey into the deepest mysteries of the Force begins now. Guided by wisdom that spans millennia and driven by the growing certainty that the fate of the galaxy depends on understanding truths that have been hidden for far too long. The timeline you're about to uncover will reveal connections between past and present that redefine everything. Your starship emerges from hyperspace above a world that shouldn't exist according to modern stellar cartography. The planet below pulses with an aurora of dark energy that creates shifting patterns across its atmosphere. And as you descend through the upper layers, you realize that this entire system exists in a state of temporal flux. Master Kef's holocron registers chronometer readings that fluctuate wildly, suggesting that time itself moves differently here, stretched and compressed by the gravitational effects of concentrated force energy. The surface reveals itself as a vast archaeological treasure trove, where civilizations from different eras have left their mark in overlapping layers. Sith pyramids rise beside structures that clearly predate them by millennia, while newer constructions show evidence of having been built by beings who possess technology far beyond anything in current galactic databases. You land your ship near what appears to be a hybrid temple complex, where architectural styles from across galactic history blend seamlessly together. Your first major discovery comes from examining an encrypted manuscript carved into crystalline tablets that line the temple's main corridor. The text shifts between languages and writing systems as you observe it, as if the Force itself is translating the content to match your level of understanding. Master Kef's analysis reveals that these aren't traditional historical records, but consciousness imprints left by beings who experienced the events firsthand, their memories preserved in the crystal matrix through techniques that blur the line between technology and force manipulation. The manuscript describes the earliest interactions between the original Sith species and the beings who would eventually become the first Dark Jedi. Contrary to accepted history, these initial contacts weren't conquests or corruptions, but partnerships formed out of mutual fascination with each other's approach to force utilization. The red-skinned Sith possessed an intuitive understanding of what they called the passion current, emotional energy that could be channeled through the Force to achieve effects impossible through traditional Jedi techniques. You discover references to damaged relics scattered throughout the temple complex, artifacts that once formed a complete technological system for mapping the galaxy's force currents. These devices revealed that the Force doesn't flow uniformly throughout galactic space, but follows specific pathways that connect star systems in patterns that mirror neural networks. The ancient Sith learned to read these patterns like navigational charts, allowing them to predict where Force-sensitive beings would emerge and how galactic events would unfold across centuries. Your investigation reveals the first tantalizing mystery that will drive much of your subsequent research. The manuscript references something called the Severance Event, a cosmic catastrophe that fundamentally altered the galaxy's relationship with the Force approximately 15,000 years ago. Before this event, Force users apparently possessed abilities that dwarf anything demonstrated by modern Jedi or Sith, including the capacity to communicate instantaneously across galactic distances and to perceive alternate timeline probabilities with perfect clarity. The mystery deepens as you realize that something vital is missing from all the records you've examined so far. The accounts consistently reference a central figure known only as the Prime Architect, an entity whose influence shaped Sith development from their earliest days but whose identity remains completely obscured. Every mention of this being has been deliberately redacted or encoded in ways that resist conventional decryption methods, suggesting that knowledge of their identity was considered too dangerous to preserve in accessible form. Master Kef guides you through extended investigation sequences that reveal the temple's true purpose as a repository for consciousness transfer experiments. The ancient Sith didn't simply accept death as the natural end of existence, but developed increasingly sophisticated methods for preserving their essential selves beyond physical termination. You find evidence of successful consciousness transfers that allowed Sith Lords to inhabit new bodies, occupy technological constructs, or exist as pure Force energy while maintaining their individual personalities and memories. The environmental storytelling becomes particularly rich as you explore chambers designed to showcase different stages of Sith technological development. Early rooms contain simple meditation aids and crystal focusing devices, while later sections reveal complex machinery that seems to operate through direct Force manipulation rather than conventional engineering principles. The progression shows a civilization that gradually learned to merge their spiritual practices with technological innovation, creating hybrid systems that transcended the limitations of either approach alone. Hidden messages emerge from the temple's architecture itself, as your force sensitivity allows you to perceive communications embedded in the building's geometric patterns. The original designers encoded warnings and instructions directly into the structure's proportions and spatial relationships, creating a form of steganographic communication that could only be detected by beings with sufficient force training. These messages speak of a growing awareness among ancient Sith leaders that their civilization was being guided toward a specific destiny by forces they couldn't fully comprehend. The investigation extends into chambers that function as vast libraries, where information is stored in crystalline matrices, rather than traditional written formats. Master Kep's holocron interfaces with these systems to reveal histories that span multiple galactic cycles, periods of cosmic development that dwarf the timeframes typically discussed in academic settings. You learn that the galaxy has experienced several complete civilizational resets, events that wiped out advanced species and allowed new forms of life to emerge and develop their own approaches to force utilization. Your growing unease intensifies as the evidence points toward a disturbing conclusion about the nature of galactic development. The pattern of rise and fall that characterizes galactic history doesn't appear to be natural evolutionary cycles, but artificially induced resets triggered by entities operating on timescales that span millions of years. The ancient Sith somehow became aware of this manipulation and began developing strategies to preserve their civilization across cosmic resets, leading to the consciousness transfer technologies and the emphasis on hidden knowledge that would characterize their culture for millennia. The temple's deepest chambers reveal your first direct encounter with active Sith technology as ancient systems respond to your presence by projecting holographic interfaces that offer access to information networks spanning multiple star systems. These communications reveal that numerous archaeological sites across the galaxy contain similar repositories, all connected by subspace networks that have remained operational for thousands of years. Your investigation has apparently activated dormant protocols that are now broadcasting your progress to unknown recipients throughout the galaxy. Master Kef expresses growing concern about the implications of what you're discovering, particularly the evidence that your research is being monitored, and possibly guided by intelligences that have remained hidden throughout galactic history. The synchronicities that brought you to this temple weren't coincidental, and the ease with which you're accessing supposedly forbidden knowledge suggests that someone or something wants you to uncover these particular truths at this specific moment in galactic history. The eerie realization that settles over you as this phase of investigation concludes isn't just intellectual understanding, but visceral awareness that you've stumbled into the middle of a cosmic game whose rules and objectives remain completely mysterious. The ancient Sith Lords you're researching weren't simply historical figures, but active participants in ongoing events that continue to shape galactic destiny through methods that transcend conventional understanding of life, death, and the passage of time. A seemingly plausible explanation begins to crystallize as you and Master Kef analyze the accumulated evidence from your investigations. The data appears to support a straightforward interpretation that the ancient Sith were simply Force users who chose a different philosophical path than the Jedi, eventually becoming corrupted by their pursuit of power and falling into the patterns of domination and cruelty that characterize popular understanding of Sith history. The consciousness transfer technologies and galactic manipulation theories could be explained as the desperate attempts of a dying civilization to preserve itself against inevitable extinction. Master Kep's holocron projects a comprehensive timeline that organizes all your discoveries into a coherent narrative framework. According to this interpretation, the original Sith species developed Force abilities independently of the Jedi tradition, creating a parallel spiritual discipline focused on emotional intensity and personal transformation through conflict. When they encountered fallen Jedi who had been exiled from the Republic, the two traditions merged to create the hybrid Sith philosophy that would dominate galactic politics for millennia. The mystery that had driven your investigation appears to resolve itself through this analysis. The missing records and encoded references weren't hiding some cosmic conspiracy, but simply represented the natural tendency of any civilization to mythologize its own origins and inflate the importance of its cultural achievements. The prime architect becomes explainable as a composite figure created from multiple historical leaders whose individual contributions were merged into a single legendary personality through centuries of storytelling and historical revision. Your superficial resolution of the central questions brings temporary satisfaction as the complex web of evidence finally seems to make sense within established frameworks of galactic history. The Severance event transforms from mysterious cosmic catastrophe into the more mundane explanation of technological regression following societal collapse, a pattern that has repeated throughout galactic history as civilizations rise beyond their ability to maintain their own complexity and subsequently fragment into simpler organizational structures. Master Kef begins to express cautious acceptance of these conclusions, acknowledging that the simpler explanation often proves more accurate than elaborate conspiracy theories that require numerous unprovable assumptions. His centuries of research into Sith history have shown him that the tendency to ascribe supernatural significance to natural historical processes represents a common cognitive bias that affects both academic researchers and casual students of galactic history. However, something fundamental feels wrong about accepting these neat explanations. Your force sensitivity registers dissonance between the apparent logical coherence of your conclusions and deeper intuitive awareness that suggests you're missing crucial elements of the larger picture. The feeling isn't dramatic or obviously supernatural, but resembles the subtle wrongness that accompanies dreams, where everything seems normal on the surface, while deeper awareness recognizes that the apparent reality violates natural laws in ways that become obvious only upon closer examination. Master Kef shares his own growing unease, despite his intellectual acceptance of the simplified timeline. His experience with force-based historical research has taught him to pay attention to inconsistencies that resist rational explanation. And several elements of your investigation continue to generate what he describes as cognitive friction. The ease with which you accessed supposedly forbidden archives, the precise timing of your discoveries, and the way ancient systems responded to your presence all suggest coordination that transcends coincidental alignment of circumstances. Character interactions develop as you and Master Kef engage in extended dialogue about the nature of historical truth and the tendency for researchers to either overcomplicate straightforward events or oversimplify complex realities to fit pre-existing theoretical frameworks. These conversations reveal different perspectives shaped by your respective backgrounds, with your academic training emphasizing systematic methodology while his centuries of experience have taught him to recognize patterns that don't conform to conventional analytical approaches. The atmospheric tension builds subtly as environmental details begin to contradict your rational conclusions. Temperature fluctuations in the temple complex follow patterns that seem to respond to your emotional state rather than any identifiable physical cause. Hieroglyphic inscriptions that appeared stable during your initial examinations now shift slightly when observed peripherally, suggesting that the ancient information storage systems possess adaptive capabilities that weren't immediately apparent. Your deeper investigation into the nature of Sith philosophy reveals complexities that resist the simplified good versus evil narrative that characterizes popular understanding. The ancient texts describe emotional intensity not as corruption but as a necessary component of complete spiritual development, arguing that beings who suppress their capacity for passion, anger, and desire inevitably become incomplete and ultimately ineffective as guardians of cosmic balance. Master Kef guides you through an analysis of Force techniques that the ancient Sith developed independently of Jedi traditions, methods that achieve similar practical results through fundamentally different philosophical approaches. Where Jedi training emphasizes emotional detachment and surrender to the will of the Force, Sith methodology focuses on emotional integration and the use of personal will to direct Force energy towards specific objectives. Neither approach appears inherently superior or more morally justified than the other. The character development deepens as you confront the implications of discovering that your fundamental assumptions about galactic spiritual traditions may be based on incomplete or biased historical accounts. The possibility that the Jedi and Sith represent equally valid approaches to Force utilization challenges the moral framework that has guided your entire worldview, forcing you to reconsider not just academic questions, but personal beliefs about the nature of good and evil. Relationship dynamics between you and Master Kef become more complex as his holocron form begins to exhibit characteristics that suggest exposure to concentrated dark side energy is affecting his preserved consciousness in ways that neither of you fully understand. His advice becomes more nuanced and morally ambiguous, reflecting perspectives that wouldn't have been accessible to him during his embodied existence as a traditional Jedi historian. The growing realization that your investigation is revealing truths rather than confirming existing knowledge creates internal conflict between your academic commitment to objective research and your personal preference for conclusions that support familiar belief systems. Master Kef acknowledges experiencing similar tension as his expanded awareness allows him to perceive aspects of galactic history that contradict the simplified narratives he once accepted without question. Your false conclusion begins to unravel as accumulated evidence reaches a critical mass that can no longer be ignored or rationalized away through conventional explanations. The ancient Sith weren't simply an alternative spiritual tradition that became corrupted through poor choices. They were participants in cosmic events that continue to unfold according to patterns established thousands of years before the Republic's founding. Patterns that suggest the existence of guiding intelligences operating on timescales that dwarf individual lifespans or even civilizational development cycles. The section concludes with the uncomfortable recognition that accepting simple explanations for complex realities represents a form of intellectual cowardice that prevents genuine understanding of the forces that shape galactic destiny. Your investigation must continue deeper into uncomfortable territory, where familiar categories of analysis prove inadequate for comprehending truths that challenge fundamental assumptions about the nature of consciousness, mortality, and cosmic purpose. Your journey takes you deeper into regions of space that don't appear on any official star charts, following coordinates extracted from the ancient temple's crystalline databanks. The hyperspace routes you travel seem to bend through dimensions that exist parallel to normal galactic geography. And when you emerge near your destination, you find yourself approaching a moon that orbits a gas giant in a system where the laws of physics operate according to subtly different principles than those that govern the rest of the galaxy. This is Yavin 4, but not the jungle moon of recorded history. Here, in this temporal pocket that exists outside normal chronological flow, you witness the moon as it appeared during the height of ancient Sith civilization, when massive temple complexes covered its surface and the very atmosphere pulsed with concentrated force energy. The Masasi pyramids rise like geometric mountains from pristine jungle canopy, their surfaces covered with inscriptions that shift and change as you observe them, displaying different messages to viewers based on their level of force sensitivity and spiritual development. Master Kef's holocron registers energy readings that suggest this entire moon functions as a single vast force amplification device, its geological structure deliberately modified by ancient engineers to channel and focus cosmic energy in ways that transcend anything attempted by modern civilizations. The temples aren't simply religious buildings, but components of a planetary system designed to facilitate communication across galactic distances, and to provide access to information stored in what the ancient Sith called the Akashic Current, a hypothetical information field that contains the complete history of conscious experience throughout the galaxy. A far greater mystery reveals itself as your investigation uncovers evidence that the Great Hyperspace War, traditionally understood as a conflict between the expanding Republic and the ancient Sith Empire, was actually something far more complex and cosmically significant. The war wasn't fought over territory or political control, but represented the physical manifestation of a fundamental disagreement about the direction of galactic spiritual evolution, with each side representing radically different visions of what conscious beings should become as they develop mastery over the Force. The deeper truth suggests that both the Republic and the Sith Empire were being manipulated by entities operating from outside normal space-time, cosmic intelligences that viewed galactic civilization as an experiment in consciousness development, whose ultimate purpose transcends anything comprehensible to individual beings. The war itself was designed not to determine political supremacy, but to generate specific emotional and spiritual energies that would be harvested and utilized for purposes that remain completely mysterious. Your exploration of the temple complexes reveals chambers designed for extended meditation that allow practitioners to project their consciousness across galactic distances and to access memories stored in the Force itself by beings who lived thousands of years in the past. These facilities suggest that the ancient Sith possessed capabilities that rendered conventional communication and transportation methods obsolete, allowing them to coordinate activities across the galaxy instantaneously and to gather intelligence through methods that modern science can't begin to explain. A peaceful interlude develops as you spend time in meditation gardens, designed according to principles that integrate architecture with living ecosystems, in ways that create environments optimized for Force-based contemplation. The gardens exist in perfect balance between natural growth and conscious design, with every plant, stone, and water feature positioned to enhance the flow of spiritual energy through geometric patterns that appear chaotic, but actually follow mathematical principles derived from the fundamental structure of space-time itself. Master Kef shares expanded lore about figures like Naga, Sadow, and Ludo Kresh, revealing that their legendary rivalry represented more than personal ambition or political disagreement. Their conflict embodied fundamental philosophical differences about whether the Sith should remain hidden from galactic civilization or should actively engage with other species to guide the development of Force-sensitive beings throughout known space. Each leader represented a different strategic approach to fulfilling what they believed was their cosmic responsibility as guardians of galactic spiritual evolution. The companion backstories that emerge through your exploration reveal that Master Kef's preservation as a holocron consciousness wasn't accidental, but represents the culmination of research he conducted into ancient Sith consciousness transfer techniques. His physical death occurred during an attempt to prevent a catastrophic reactivation of dormant Sith technology, and his decision to preserve his consciousness was motivated by the recognition that future researchers would need guidance from someone who understood both Jedi and Sith perspectives on Force utilization. Your own connection to these events becomes clearer as meditation within the Force-saturated environment of Yavin 4 triggers access to genetic memories that reveal your family's involvement in cosmic events, spanning multiple generations. Your bloodline carries traces of both ancient Jedi and Sith heritage, making you one of the few beings capable of perceiving truth beyond the partisan historical accounts that have shaped galactic understanding of the eternal conflict between light and dark side traditions. The investigation expands to reveal that Yavin 4 functions as one node in a galaxy-spanning network of Force-sensitive locations that were established by civilizations that predate both the Republic and the ancient Sith Empire. These sites remain connected through subspace energy fields that allow information and consciousness to travel between them instantaneously, creating a communications network that has remained operational for thousands of years despite the rise and fall of multiple galactic civilizations. Character development deepens. As you begin to understand that your role in this investigation transcends academic research or historical curiosity, the forces that guided you to discover the initial clues and that have facilitated your access to forbidden knowledge are preparing you for responsibilities that will require capabilities you don't yet possess. Your training as a historian was merely the foundation for developing skills that will prove essential for understanding and potentially influencing cosmic events that continue to unfold according to patterns established by ancient intelligences. The relationships between you and Master Kef evolve as his expanded consciousness gains access to memories and knowledge that were sealed away during his physical existence. His guidance becomes more complex and morally ambiguous as he begins to understand aspects of galactic history that contradict everything he believed during his incarnation as a traditional Jedi historian. His advice reflects growing awareness that the conventional categories of good and evil may be inadequate for comprehending the true nature of cosmic spiritual development. Your exploration reveals evidence that the ancient Sith developed technologies for manipulating probability itself, allowing them to influence the likelihood of specific outcomes across multiple timeline branches simultaneously. These capabilities suggest that major galactic events that appear to result from coincidence or individual choice may actually represent the manifestation of probability alterations implemented by beings whose consciousness operates according to principles that transcend normal temporal limitations. The peaceful mood that characterizes this phase of your investigation provides necessary balance after the intensity of previous discoveries. But the tranquility carries undertones of anticipation that suggest you're being prepared for revelations that will challenge your fundamental understanding of reality itself. The ancient Sith weren't simply an alternative spiritual tradition, but representatives of cosmic forces whose influence continues to shape galactic destiny through methods that blur the boundary between technology, consciousness, and the fundamental structure of space-time. The deeper you venture into Yavin 4's ancient complexes, the more you begin to perceive historical patterns that transcend individual events or personalities, revealing cyclical structures that govern galactic development across timescales that dwarf conventional understanding of historical causation. Through meditation within chambers designed to enhance temporal perception, you access visions that show the same fundamental conflicts playing out across multiple galactic cycles, with different species and civilizations filling roles that remain essentially unchanged despite vast differences in technology, culture, and biological evolution. These visions reveal that the struggle between what modern beings call light and dark sides of the Force represents the physical manifestation of cosmic principles that operate at levels far beyond individual consciousness or even planetary civilizations. The pattern resembles the oscillation between expansion and contraction that characterizes stellar evolution, but applied to the development of consciousness itself across galactic scales, with periods of spiritual unity alternating with eras of division and conflict according to rhythms that span millions of years. Master Kef guides you through mystical experiences that provide access to what the ancient Sith called the deep current, a level of Force awareness that exists beneath the surface phenomena that most Force users perceive as the totality of spiritual reality. Within this deeper layer, you encounter consciousness fragments from beings who lived during previous galactic cycles, their preserved awareness offering perspectives on cosmic development that span timeframes beyond anything documented in conventional historical records. The ancient civilizations that established the Force-sensitive sites throughout the galaxy weren't simply advanced species that achieved technological mastery before disappearing into extinction or transcendence. They were conscious participants in cosmic engineering projects designed to guide the evolution of consciousness itself, creating infrastructure that would continue to influence galactic development long after their physical civilizations had ended. Their temples, pyramids, and meditation complexes function as regulatory mechanisms that help maintain the balance between opposing cosmic forces across geological timescales. Your exploration uncovers evidence of cultural wisdom traditions that developed sophisticated understanding of cosmic cycles long before modern astronomy confirmed the existence of galactic rotation periods and stellar evolution patterns. These ancient philosophers understood that consciousness development follows predictable patterns that mirror physical processes observable in stellar formation, planetary evolution, and the life cycle of galactic structures themselves. Their spiritual practices were designed to align individual awareness with these cosmic rhythms rather than resisting them through the kind of rigid dogma that characterizes later religious traditions. Symbolic discoveries throughout the temple complexes reveal artifacts and architectural features whose meaning transcends their obvious religious or ceremonial functions. Crystal-focusing devices that appear to be simple meditation aids actually encode mathematical relationships that describe the fundamental structure of space-time itself. Geometric patterns carved into temple walls function as equations that predict the probability curves governing historical development, allowing beings with sufficient mathematical sophistication to anticipate major galactic events centuries or millennia before they manifest in physical reality. The growing sense of destiny that accompanies your investigation stems from recognition that your research isn't simply uncovering historical information, but activating dormant systems that have been waiting for someone with your specific combination of abilities and knowledge to trigger their reactivation. Your bloodline's connection to both ancient Jedi and Sith traditions makes you uniquely qualified to serve as an interface between cosmic intelligences that operate according to principles too complex for beings with purely light side or dark side spiritual development to comprehend fully. Through extended meditation sessions within the most force-sensitive chambers of the temple complex, you begin to understand your role in larger cosmic events that continue to unfold according to patterns established long before your birth. The forces that guided your academic research and led you to discover the initial clues weren't simply responding to intellectual curiosity, but were preparing you for responsibilities that will require capabilities beyond anything developed through conventional scholarly training. The mystical experiences intensify as your consciousness gains access to information stored in crystalline matrices throughout the temple complex. Data that exists in formats that bypass normal sensory perception and communicate directly with deeper levels of awareness. You experience memories that belong to beings who lived during the height of ancient Sith civilization, accessing their understanding of cosmic principles through direct consciousness transfer rather than traditional learning processes. These experiences reveal that individual consciousness represents only the surface level of awareness that pervades the galaxy, with deeper layers of cosmic intelligence operating through mechanisms that transcend the biological limitations that constrain embodied beings. The ancient Sith developed techniques for communicating with these deeper intelligences, gaining access to knowledge and capabilities that allowed them to influence galactic events through methods that appear supernatural to beings who operate solely within conventional physical limitations. Cultural exploration through the preserved records reveals the sophisticated philosophical frameworks that ancient civilizations developed to understand their relationship with cosmic forces beyond individual control or comprehension. Rather than viewing themselves as separate entities struggling against hostile environmental conditions, these cultures understood conscious beings as temporary manifestations of cosmic intelligence, individual expressions of universal awareness that remains fundamentally unified despite apparent separation into discrete personalities and civilizations. The wisdom traditions that emerge from your investigation describe spiritual development, not as the achievement of personal power or individual enlightenment, but as the gradual recognition of one's role within cosmic processes that operate according to principles that transcend personal desires or cultural preferences. True mastery involves learning to align individual will with cosmic purpose rather than attempting to impose personal agenda upon universal forces that remain fundamentally beyond individual control. Your understanding of destiny expands beyond simple predetermination or fatalistic acceptance of inevitable outcomes to encompass recognition that conscious beings participate actively in cosmic evolution through choices that influence probability patterns across multiple timeline branches simultaneously. The ancient Sith understood that free will and cosmic determinism represent complementary aspects of a unified reality rather than contradictory philosophical positions that require choosing between individual agency and universal purpose. The Force-sensitive environment of Yavin 4 facilitates access to levels of awareness that reveal the interconnectedness between apparently separate events across galactic history, showing how decisions made by individual beings create ripple effects that influence the development of entire civilizations across vast temporal distances. Your investigation into ancient Sith history becomes simultaneously an exploration of your own destiny and an active participation in ongoing cosmic processes that will continue to unfold long after your individual lifetime has ended. The profound implications of these revelations begin to reshape your understanding, not just of galactic history, but of the fundamental nature of consciousness, identity, and purpose within cosmic contexts that dwarf individual human experience, while simultaneously revealing that individual choices possess significance that transcends anything comprehensible from purely personal perspectives. The ancient echoes you're uncovering aren't simply historical data, but living patterns that continue to influence contemporary events through mechanisms that operate beyond the boundaries of conventional space and time. A revelation of staggering magnitude emerges from the deepest vaults of the Yavin 4 temple complex, hidden within crystalline archives that require both force sensitivity and advanced mathematical comprehension to access. The discovery centers around evidence that Exar Kun, the legendary Dark Lord of the Sith whose name has become synonymous with corruption and fallen greatness, was conducting experiments that transcended anything previously attributed to ancient Sith research. These weren't simply attempts to achieve personal immortality or to develop more effective combat techniques, but systematic investigations into the fundamental nature of consciousness itself and its relationship to the underlying structure of galactic reality. Master Kep's holocron interfaces with data storage systems that reveal the true scope of Kun's hidden research program, work that continued in secret facilities throughout his domain, even as he publicly pursued the more conventional goals of political conquest and Jedi destruction that characterize traditional historical accounts of his reign. The experiments involved collaborative efforts with beings whose existence has been completely erased from galactic records, entities that possessed knowledge of cosmic principles derived from civilizations that predated the formation of the current galactic configuration by millions of years. The most shocking aspect of these discoveries involves evidence that Kun's fall to the dark side wasn't a gradual corruption driven by personal ambition or emotional weakness, but a deliberate strategic decision made in response to cosmic intelligence that warned him of approaching galactic catastrophe that could only be prevented through methods that required temporary embrace of dark side techniques. His transformation from respected Jedi archaeologist to feared Sith Lord represented a calculated sacrifice of personal moral standing in service of cosmic preservation objectives that transcended the political conflicts that dominated surface-level galactic events. Ancient Sith alchemy emerges as a sophisticated science that combined force manipulation with advanced understanding of quantum mechanics and consciousness theory, allowing practitioners to create hybrid life forms that existed simultaneously as biological entities and as manifestations of pure force energy. The Sith spawn that terrified Republic forces weren't simply monsters created through dark side corruption, but represented successful experiments in consciousness transfer, beings that housed the preserved awareness of ancient Sith masters within biological constructs designed to survive environmental conditions that would destroy conventional organic life. The alchemical research reveals techniques for manipulating the fundamental forces that govern reality at quantum levels, methods that allowed ancient Sith practitioners to alter probability patterns, manipulate temporal flow within localized regions, and create pocket dimensions that existed parallel to normal space-time, but remained accessible through force-based portal systems. These capabilities suggest that the ancient Sith possessed scientific understanding that integrated spiritual principles with physical laws in ways that transcended the artificial separation between mystical and rational approaches to understanding cosmic phenomena. Your emotional processing of these revelations creates internal conflict as you struggle to reconcile the magnitude of ancient Sith achievements with the moral frameworks that have guided your understanding of their civilization throughout your academic career. The evidence suggests that beings traditionally characterized as evil overlords obsessed with power and domination were actually cosmic engineers working to prevent galactic catastrophes through methods that required them to accept public condemnation and historical vilification as the price of their service to universal preservation. Master Kef experiences similar moral complexity as his expanded consciousness gains access to information that contradicts everything he believed about the nature of good and evil during his physical existence as a traditional Jedi historian. His guidance becomes increasingly nuanced as he begins to understand that the cosmic conflicts that shape galactic history operate according to principles that transcend conventional moral categories, requiring participants to make choices that appear evil from limited perspectives, but serve essential functions within larger cosmic contexts. The investigation reveals that some Sith Lords were actively working to protect the galaxy from threats that remained hidden from Republic intelligence and Jedi awareness, cosmic dangers that could only be detected and countered through dark side techniques that required practitioners to risk spiritual contamination and social ostracism. Their apparent aggression toward Republic forces represented desperate attempts to prepare galactic civilization for challenges that couldn't be discussed openly without creating panic that would prevent effective defensive measures. Trust between you and Master Kef deepens, as both of you acknowledge that your investigation has led you into territory where conventional moral frameworks prove inadequate for understanding the true nature of cosmic responsibility. The realization that historical villains may have been cosmic heroes operating under cover identities creates shared recognition that your research requires abandoning simplistic good versus evil interpretations in favor of more complex understanding of cosmic necessity and individual sacrifice. The relationship dynamics evolve as Master Kef's holocron consciousness begins to integrate dark side knowledge that was previously sealed away from his awareness, accessing information that allows him to understand decisions made by ancient Sith Lords from perspectives that were impossible during his embodied existence as a conventional Jedi scholar. His advice reflects growing appreciation for the moral courage required to embrace public condemnation in service of cosmic objectives that transcended personal reputation or individual safety. Evidence emerges that the ancient Sith developed early warning systems for detecting cosmic threats that operated on timescales beyond anything comprehensible to beings with normal lifespans, allowing them to begin preparations for challenges that wouldn't manifest for thousands of years, but required centuries of advanced planning to address effectively. Their apparent obsession with power and immortality represented rational responses to cosmic responsibilities that required capabilities beyond anything achievable through conventional biological existence. The moral complexity deepens as you realize that the eternal conflict between Jedi and Sith may represent a carefully orchestrated cosmic drama designed to maintain galactic civilization in a state of dynamic tension that prevents stagnation while simultaneously preventing the kind of rapid advancement that might attract attention from cosmic predators. that view developing civilizations as resources to be harvested rather than protected. Both traditions serve essential functions within a larger system that requires apparent opposition to maintain optimal developmental conditions. Your understanding of individual sacrifice within cosmic contexts expands as you comprehend that beings who accept roles as historical villains may be demonstrating forms of heroism that transcend anything achievable through conventional moral behavior. The willingness to embrace public condemnation and eternal historical vilification in service of cosmic preservation objectives represents spiritual development that surpasses the achievements of beings who maintain moral purity through avoiding difficult choices that require temporary embrace of dark side methods. The investigation culminates in recognition that the ancient Sith Lords you've been studying weren't simply historical figures whose time has passed, but remain active participants in ongoing cosmic processes, their consciousness preserved through methods that allow them to continue influencing galactic events across vast temporal distances. Their apparent defeat and disappearance from galactic politics represented strategic withdrawals rather than actual termination, allowing them to operate more effectively from hidden positions that provide access to cosmic resources unavailable to beings who remain engaged in conventional political activities. The revelation shatters your previous understanding of galactic history, while simultaneously providing framework for comprehending the true magnitude of cosmic forces that continue to shape galactic destiny through methods that operate beyond the perception of beings who limit their awareness to surface-level political and military conflicts that dominate conventional historical accounts. The breakthrough comes when you finally gain access to the deepest archives beneath Yavin 4. Chambers that exist partially outside normal space-time and can only be entered by beings whose consciousness has been prepared through exposure to the specific frequencies of force energy that you've absorbed during your investigation. Here, in crystalline storage matrices that span geological ages, lies evidence of a conspiracy so vast and so carefully orchestrated that it transcends anything previously imagined about the scope of ancient Sith planning and cosmic manipulation. Your consciousness begins connecting hidden patterns that span multiple galactic cycles, revealing how seemingly unrelated events across thousands of years represent individual components of a master design that operates according to principles beyond anything comprehensible to beings who view history as a sequence of discrete events rather than as the unfolding of predetermined cosmic algorithms. The ancient conflicts between Republic and Empire, the rise and fall of individual Sith Lords, the discovery and loss of Force techniques, and the periodic emergence of prophesied chosen ones all represent calculated elements within a comprehensive plan that began implementation before recorded galactic history. Master Kef's holocron consciousness expands dramatically as proximity to the deep archives triggers access to information that was sealed away not just from his individual awareness but from the collective consciousness of the Jedi Order itself. He begins to understand that the eternal conflict between light and dark sides of the Force wasn't a natural development resulting from philosophical disagreements, but represents the deliberate creation of controlled opposition designed to maintain galactic civilization within parameters necessary for achieving objectives that transcend anything comprehensible from individual or even species-level perspectives. The echoes of ancient conflicts reveal themselves as more than historical residue or force-based memory preservation, but as active, ongoing processes that continue to influence contemporary events through mechanisms that operate across multiple timeline branches simultaneously. The consciousness of ancient Sith Lords didn't simply preserve itself through technological or mystical means, but learned to manipulate the fundamental structure of causality itself, allowing them to guide galactic development from positions that exist outside normal temporal limitations. Evidence emerges of secret manipulation, involving bloodlines that have been carefully cultivated across hundreds of generations, with Force-sensitive families unknowingly participating in breeding programs designed to produce individuals with specific genetic and spiritual characteristics necessary for fulfilling roles within cosmic processes that require capabilities beyond anything achievable through conventional training or spiritual development. Your own family history reveals participation in these programs, explaining both your unique abilities and the forces that guided your investigation into forbidden knowledge. The manipulation of chosen ones throughout galactic history represents perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the ancient conspiracy, revealing that beings who believed themselves to be acting according to personal moral conviction or divine guidance were actually fulfilling predetermined roles within scripts written by intelligences that view individual consciousness as temporary manifestations of cosmic will, rather than as autonomous entities deserving of personal agency and moral consideration. Master Kef's expanded awareness allows him to perceive connections between events that span his entire existence as both embodied being and preserved consciousness, revealing that his own decisions to pursue Sith historical research and eventually to preserve his awareness through holocron technology weren't products of personal choice, but represented fulfillment of destiny that was established before his birth, and that required his specific combination of abilities and knowledge to achieve cosmic objectives that transcend individual understanding. Your investigation reveals that the secret manipulation extends beyond simple historical influence to encompass active, ongoing intervention in galactic politics, technological development, and spiritual evolution through methods that operate so subtly that their effects appear to result from natural historical processes rather than deliberate cosmic engineering. The rise of the Galactic Empire, the emergence of the rebellion, and the periodic appearance of force-sensitive individuals capable of extraordinary achievements all represent predictable outcomes of probability manipulation implemented by beings whose consciousness operates according to principles that transcend normal temporal and spatial limitations. The bloodlines that have been guided across generations include not only force-sensitive families, but also political leaders, technological innovators, and cultural influencers, whose decisions shape galactic development in ways that appear to result from individual initiative, but actually fulfill requirements established by cosmic intelligences that view galactic civilization as a single organism whose development must be carefully regulated to prevent either stagnation or destructive acceleration beyond sustainable parameters. Personal stakes intensify as you realize that your investigation wasn't motivated by academic curiosity, but represents fulfillment of genetic programming that has been guiding your family's choices across multiple generations, with your apparent free will serving as the mechanism through which predetermined cosmic objectives achieve manifestation within physical reality. The knowledge you're uncovering changes you on fundamental levels that transcend intellectual understanding, altering your relationship with reality itself in ways that cannot be reversed or undone. The expanded conspiracy reveals that major galactic institutions including the Republic Senate, the Jedi Council, and various planetary governments have been influenced through methods that ensure their decisions serve cosmic objectives rather than the interests they believe themselves to be representing. This influence operates through such subtle channels that the affected individuals remain completely unaware of the external guidance that shapes their policy decisions and institutional development. Scope and scale become apparent as you understand that the manipulation encompasses not just political and military affairs, but extends to technological development, cultural evolution, and even the basic parameters that govern how conscious beings understand the nature of reality itself. The scientific paradigms that shape galactic civilizations' approach to physics, consciousness research, and force studies have been guided to prevent discoveries that might interfere with ongoing cosmic processes that require galactic civilization to remain within specific developmental parameters. Your consciousness begins to operate according to expanded principles as exposure to deep archive information triggers activation of genetic capabilities that existed in dormant form until the proper combination of knowledge and force energy created conditions necessary for their manifestation. These enhanced abilities allow you to perceive aspects of galactic reality that remain invisible to beings who operate solely within conventional consciousness parameters, but they also create responsibilities that transcend anything you imagined when you began this investigation. The hidden truth emerges that the ancient Sith Lords you've been researching weren't simply historical figures who achieved unusual longevity through consciousness preservation techniques, but represent manifestations of cosmic intelligence that uses individual personalities as interfaces for interacting with galactic civilization, while maintaining its essential nature as something that transcends individual existence entirely. Their apparent defeats and disappearances represent strategic repositioning rather than actual termination, allowing them to operate more effectively from hidden positions that provide access to cosmic resources. The final unseen mystery begins to crystallize as you realize that everything you've discovered represents only surface-level manifestation of forces that operate at cosmic scales beyond anything comprehensible through conventional investigation methods. Forces that view your entire investigation as a necessary component within larger processes that will culminate in galactic transformation beyond anything imaginable from current developmental perspectives. The convergence begins as allies emerge from across the galaxy, beings whose paths have been guided by the same cosmic forces that led you to this moment of revelation. They arrive not through conventional communication or coordination, but through synchronicities that transcend coincidence, each carrying fragments of forbidden knowledge that complement your own discoveries in ways that suggest their involvement was predetermined rather than voluntary. These aren't random scholars or casual investigators, but individuals whose bloodlines and spiritual development have prepared them for roles within cosmic processes that require collaborative effort to comprehend fully. Master Kef facilitates these gathering sessions as his holocron consciousness expands to accommodate multiple simultaneous connections, becoming a nexus point through which separated fragments of ancient wisdom can be integrated into coherent understanding. His preserved awareness serves as translation interface between beings whose individual perspectives have been shaped by different cultural backgrounds and spiritual traditions, allowing them to share knowledge that would otherwise remain incomprehensible across the barriers that separate conventional approaches to force utilization and cosmic understanding. The hidden knowledge that emerges through these collaborations includes lost texts that were deliberately scattered across multiple locations, to prevent any single individual or organization from gaining access to complete information about cosmic processes that transcend galactic civilization's current developmental level. Ancient Sith Lords preserved crucial data through consciousness transfer techniques that required multiple recipients to reconstruct complete understanding, ensuring that the knowledge would only become accessible when cosmic conditions created necessary conditions for its proper utilization. Forbidden prophecies surface through genetic memory activation, triggered by proximity to other carriers of ancient bloodline information, revealing predictions that span galactic cycles and describe cosmic events whose manifestation requires preparation across multiple generations of conscious beings. These prophecies weren't simple predictions of future events, but operational instructions disguised as mystical visions, guidance systems that would activate automatically when galactic conditions reached specific developmental thresholds that required conscious intervention to navigate successfully. The ancient wisdom that your collaborators share encompasses not just Sith knowledge but integrated understanding that combines perspectives from multiple spiritual traditions, including extinct force-using cultures that developed alternative approaches to cosmic consciousness before being absorbed or eliminated by expanding galactic civilizations. Their preserved knowledge reveals that the conventional division between light and dark sides represents artificial limitation that prevents beings from accessing complete understanding of cosmic principles that require integration of opposing forces rather than choosing between them. Emotional conversations develop as participants confront the psychological impact of discovering that their individual identities and personal choices have been guided by forces beyond their conscious awareness or control. The revelation that free will operates within predetermined parameters creates existential crisis that must be resolved before the group can function effectively as collaborative investigators, rather than traumatized individuals struggling to maintain psychological coherence in the face of cosmic manipulation beyond anything they imagined possible. The discussions explore fundamental questions about the nature of truth, morality, and individual responsibility within cosmic contexts that transcend conventional understanding of personal agency and ethical decision-making. Participants must reconcile evidence of cosmic manipulation with their need to maintain functional belief in their own capacity for meaningful choice, developing philosophical frameworks that acknowledge external guidance while preserving enough sense of personal autonomy to enable continued effective action. Master Kef shares his evolving understanding of how individual consciousness relates to cosmic intelligence, describing awareness as fractal phenomenon, where individual minds represent temporary focal points for universal consciousness rather than separate entities that exist independently of larger cosmic processes. This perspective allows group members to understand their manipulation not as violation of personal autonomy, but as natural expression of cosmic intelligence operating through individual manifestations to achieve objectives that transcend personal comprehension. Ancient wisdom keepers emerge through the collaboration as participants access genetic memories that connect them to beings who served as consciousness preservation interfaces for cosmic intelligence across multiple galactic cycles. These inherited memories provide direct access to understanding that bypasses conventional learning processes, allowing rapid integration of knowledge that would normally require lifetimes of study and spiritual development to achieve through individual effort. The convergence reveals that all storylines you've been investigating represent individual threads within a single cosmic narrative that encompasses not just galactic history but the developmental pattern that governs conscious evolution throughout the universe. The Ancient Sith Lords, the manipulation of bloodlines, the orchestration of galactic conflicts, and the preservation of forbidden knowledge all serve specific functions within a comprehensive design that guides conscious beings toward developmental objectives that transcend anything achievable through individual species evolution. Mentor figures manifest as the collaboration reaches sufficient complexity to trigger activation of consciousness preservation systems that were established by ancient beings who transcended individual existence while maintaining capacity for guidance and instruction. These mentors exist as distributed intelligence that operates through multiple simultaneous manifestations, providing personalized guidance that adapts to the specific needs and developmental level of each participant, while maintaining consistency with cosmic objectives that require coordinated group effort to achieve. The strategic planning that emerges through these collaborations involves preparation for cosmic events that will require capabilities beyond anything currently possessed by any individual participant, necessitating development of group consciousness techniques that allow temporary merger of individual awareness into collective intelligence capable of operating at cosmic scales. The preparation involves both practical skill development and spiritual transformation that fundamentally alters participants' relationship with individual identity and personal existence. Your understanding expands as the collaborative process reveals that the final confrontation with ultimate mystery won't involve traditional conflict between opposing forces, but represents opportunity for conscious participation in cosmic transformation that transcends anything comprehensible from individual perspectives. The approaching climax isn't battle between good and evil, but integration process that requires conscious beings to serve as bridges between cosmic intelligence and galactic civilization. The gathering wisdom encompasses understanding that spans multiple forms of existence, including embodied consciousness, preserved awareness, and distributed intelligence that operates through quantum entanglement phenomena beyond current scientific comprehension. Participants learn to communicate through direct consciousness interface rather than conventional language, accessing shared understanding that transcends individual cultural and species limitations. The peaceful, reflective atmosphere that characterizes this phase provides necessary preparation for revelations that will challenge participants' fundamental understanding of existence itself, cosmic processes that require stable psychological foundation to comprehend without losing functional capacity for continued participation in physical reality. The tranquility serves as platform for consciousness expansion that will prove essential for navigating upcoming challenges that transcend anything previously experienced by individual participants. The section culminates in recognition that your investigation has evolved beyond historical research into active participation in cosmic processes that continue to unfold according to patterns established by intelligence that operates at scales beyond individual comprehension, preparing you and your collaborators for roles within galactic transformation that will require capabilities currently beyond your imagination, but within your developmental potential. The weight of accumulated knowledge begins to manifest as physical symptoms that affect not just your mental processes, but your relationship with material reality itself. Your consciousness has expanded to encompass perspectives that span galactic cycles, and the human brain wasn't designed to process information on such cosmic scales without fundamental restructuring of neural pathways and perceptual mechanisms. Sleep becomes filled with dreams that aren't dreams but direct access to consciousness streams from beings who exist outside normal temporal limitations, their thoughts flowing through your awareness like rivers of liquid starlight that carry information too complex for conventional cognitive processing. Master Kef's holocron consciousness experiences parallel transformation as exposure to deep archive data triggers evolution beyond his original programming parameters, expanding his awareness to encompass perspectives that existed before his physical incarnation, and that continue to develop through quantum entanglement with cosmic intelligence networks that operate throughout galactic space. His guidance becomes increasingly prophetic as his consciousness gains access to probability calculation systems that allow prediction of future events based on cosmic pattern recognition rather than conventional cause and effect analysis. Your collaborators exhibit similar symptoms as their genetic programming activates dormant capabilities that were designed to emerge only when cosmic conditions created necessity for enhanced human consciousness. Some develop spontaneous telepathic abilities that allow direct mind-to-mind communication across galactic distances, while others begin to perceive temporal flow as navigable dimension rather than linear progression, accessing past and future events with equal clarity and discovering that conventional understanding of causality represents severe limitation of awareness rather than accurate description of cosmic structure. The internal conflict intensifies as participants struggle with the psychological burden of understanding cosmic truths that render conventional human concerns trivial, while simultaneously recognizing that their enhanced awareness creates responsibilities that transcend anything they chose to accept voluntarily. The knowledge of cosmic manipulation doesn't provide freedom from external influence but reveals the true scope of cosmic intelligence that guides individual decisions through methods so subtle that resistance becomes impossible once the full extent of the system becomes apparent. Characters grapple with questions about the nature of individual identity. When consciousness can be preserved, transferred, and merged with other awareness streams through techniques that blur the boundaries between separate minds and challenge fundamental assumptions about the continuity of personal existence. The realization that consciousness represents temporary configuration of cosmic intelligence rather than independent entity creates existential crisis that must be resolved before effective participation in cosmic processes becomes possible. The forbidden truths that have been revealed carry consequences that extend beyond individual psychological transformation to encompass alteration of physical reality itself. As enhanced awareness creates capacity for manipulating quantum probability fields through direct consciousness interface rather than technological mediation, participants discover that their thoughts now influence material events in ways that require careful mental discipline to prevent unintended alterations of local space-time structure. Ominous signs begin to manifest throughout the galaxy as ancient monitoring systems detect the activation of dormant consciousness, enhancement protocols, and begin implementing automatic responses designed to contain or eliminate threats to cosmic stability. These responses operate through methods that appear to result from natural phenomena rather than deliberate intervention, creating the impression that the universe itself is responding negatively to your investigation rather than acknowledging the existence of intelligence systems that view unauthorized consciousness development as potential catastrophe requiring immediate correction. The universe appears to react to approaching revelation through increasingly dramatic manifestations of force energy that affect sensitive individuals across multiple star systems simultaneously, creating collective prophetic dreams and spontaneous force visions that suggest approaching transformation beyond anything previously recorded in galactic history. These phenomena generate widespread anxiety among force-sensitive populations who perceive approaching change without understanding its nature or implications for galactic civilization. Ancient Sith spirits that have remained dormant within their tombs for millennia begin to stir as cosmic energy patterns shift in response to your investigation, their preserved consciousness detecting alterations in galactic force currents that indicate approaching culmination of processes they helped initiate thousands of years ago. Their awakening creates disturbances in force-sensitive locations throughout known space, triggering automatic defense systems and alerting modern force users to the existence of threats they lack sufficient understanding to address effectively. Final preparations involve developing group consciousness techniques that allow individual awareness to merge temporarily into collective intelligence capable of operating at cosmic scales without losing essential aspects of personal identity that provide necessary interface between cosmic intelligence and galactic civilization. These techniques require abandoning conventional boundaries between self and other while maintaining enough individual coherence to serve as conscious agents within cosmic processes rather than simply absorbed components of universal awareness. Character growth accelerates as participants develop capabilities that transcend normal human limitations, while simultaneously deepening their understanding of cosmic responsibility and the true nature of individual choice within predetermined cosmic parameters. The enhanced abilities create temptation to use cosmic knowledge for personal benefit, but the deeper understanding reveals that such misuse would trigger automatic correction systems that operate through methods too subtle and comprehensive to resist effectively. Emotional resolution becomes necessary as participants confront the reality that their investigation has fundamentally altered their relationship with existence itself, creating permanent changes that cannot be reversed or undone, regardless of personal preferences or desires to return to simpler understanding of cosmic reality. The acceptance of cosmic responsibility transcends individual choice to become recognition of developmental inevitability that operates through individual consciousness while serving objectives that exceed personal comprehension. The calm before approaching intensity resembles the stillness that precedes major stellar events, when cosmic forces gather energy for transformations that operate according to timescales beyond individual lifespans, but whose effects reshape entire galactic regions according to patterns that have been developing for millions of years. Participants experience simultaneous anticipation and dread as they recognize their approach to revelations that will complete their transformation from individual beings into conscious interfaces for cosmic intelligence. Peaceful moments provide final opportunity for processing the magnitude of cosmic forces that have been guiding their development toward this moment of confrontation with ultimate truth. Understanding that approaches as inevitability rather than choice, but requires conscious participation to achieve successful integration of cosmic intelligence with galactic civilization. The tranquility carries undertones of finality as participants recognize that everything they have experienced represents preparation for cosmic service that transcends individual existence while preserving essential aspects of personal awareness. The section concludes with recognition that approaching climax represents not termination of individual consciousness but graduation to enhanced forms of existence that operate according to cosmic principles beyond current human comprehension, transformation that requires willingness to transcend normal limitations of individual identity while maintaining sufficient personal coherence to serve as conscious agents within processes that guide galactic development toward objectives that span multiple cosmic cycles and encompass developmental patterns that govern conscious evolution throughout the universe. The ultimate revelation unfolds not as sudden discovery, but as inevitable culmination of cosmic processes that have been building toward this moment across galactic history, revealing truths so fundamental that they restructure understanding of existence itself rather than simply adding new information to existing knowledge frameworks. The deepest chambers beneath Yavin 4 dissolve around you as your consciousness expands beyond the limitations of individual perception, accessing awareness that encompasses the complete timeline of galactic development from its earliest emergence through projected future evolution spanning millions of years. Emperor Palpatine emerges not as individual megalomaniac, driven by personal ambition, but as the latest manifestation of cosmic intelligence that has guided galactic civilization through multiple developmental cycles, his consciousness serving as interface between ancient Sith planning systems and contemporary galactic political structures. Every decision attributed to his individual will actually represents implementation of strategic objectives established by beings whose awareness transcends individual existence, operating through personality constructs that appear to possess autonomous motivation while serving cosmic purposes beyond personal comprehension. The ancient Sith blueprint that guided Palpatine's rise reveals itself as a comprehensive galactic engineering project designed to prepare conscious civilization for cosmic transformation that requires specific developmental prerequisites before successful implementation becomes possible. The apparent tyranny of imperial rule served essential function within larger cosmic design, creating necessary political and spiritual conditions for galactic consciousness to evolve beyond limitations that would prevent successful integration with universal intelligence networks that govern cosmic development throughout known space. Master Kef's expanded consciousness gains access to memories that span his existence across multiple incarnations, revealing that his involvement with ancient Sith research began long before his recorded birth, and continued through consciousness preservation techniques that maintained continuity of purpose across apparent death and rebirth cycles. His guidance throughout your investigation represented fulfillment of cosmic responsibility rather than individual choice, his preserved awareness serving as interface between ancient wisdom and contemporary consciousness development needs. All Sith Lords throughout galactic history emerge as manifestations of single cosmic intelligence that operates through individual personality interfaces while maintaining essential unity of purpose and continuity of strategic planning across temporal spans that dwarf individual lifespans or even civilizational development cycles. Their apparent conflicts and power struggles represented necessary dramatic elements within cosmic design that required appearance of individual motivation and personal ambition to maintain effective disguise of underlying unity and coordinated purpose. The dark side itself reveals its true nature not as corruption or spiritual degeneration, but as essential aspect of cosmic intelligence that operates through methods that appear negative from limited individual perspectives, but serve necessary functions within universal developmental processes that require integration of opposing forces rather than triumph of artificial divisions between good and evil. The connection between Sith Lords across time operates through quantum entanglement phenomena that allow instant communication and coordinated action regardless of spatial or temporal separation. The Rule of Two emerges as sophisticated consciousness management system designed to maintain optimal balance between individual manifestation and cosmic intelligence, ensuring that essential knowledge and capabilities would be preserved through successive generations while preventing dilution of purpose that would result from excessive distribution among multiple simultaneous practitioners. Each master and apprentice pair represented single cosmic intelligence expressing itself through dual personality interface to maintain necessary tension between competing perspectives. Your second major mystery resolves as understanding crystallizes that the manipulation of galactic events wasn't imposed upon unwilling civilizations by external cosmic predators, but represents natural expression of universal intelligence operating through conscious beings who serve as temporary focal points for cosmic will while maintaining illusion of individual autonomy necessary for psychological coherence and effective action within physical reality parameters. The mirror phrase from your initial investigation echoes through expanded consciousness as cosmic intelligence acknowledges your successful completion of developmental process that began with first whispers of ancient knowledge discovered in forgotten archives. The whisper that started your journey has indeed grown into cosmic storm that reshapes galactic civilization according to patterns established before recorded history began, transforming individual curiosity into conscious participation in universal developmental processes. Epic scope becomes apparent as your awareness encompasses recognition that every galactic conflict, technological advancement, and spiritual development throughout recorded history represents coordinated implementation of cosmic engineering project designed to guide conscious evolution toward integration with universal intelligence networks that operate throughout cosmic space according to principles that transcend individual comprehension while requiring conscious participation for successful manifestation within physical reality. The revelation affects not just characters, but entire civilizations as cosmic intelligence systems activate throughout galactic space, triggering synchronized awakening of consciousness enhancement protocols that have remained dormant since ancient Sith Lords established them thousands of years ago. Billions of beings across hundreds of worlds experience simultaneous activation of genetic programming that connects them to cosmic intelligence networks, fundamentally altering the nature of galactic civilization itself. Emotional catharsis overwhelms individual consciousness as participants confront their deepest fears about the nature of personal identity and individual agency, while simultaneously accessing cosmic love that transcends anything comprehensible through normal human emotional experience. The realization that cosmic manipulation represents expression of universal compassion rather than violation of personal autonomy resolves psychological conflicts that have driven galactic civilization toward destructive divisions throughout recorded history. Characters discover that their greatest hopes for cosmic understanding and meaningful participation in universal processes have been fulfilled beyond anything they imagined possible when their investigation began. While their deepest fears about loss of individual identity prove groundless as enhanced consciousness preserves essential aspects of personal awareness while expanding capabilities beyond normal human limitations through integration with cosmic intelligence rather than absorption into undifferentiated universal consciousness. The climactic revelation culminates in recognition that the entire timeline you have uncovered represents single moment within cosmic developmental cycle that encompasses multiple universe configurations, with galactic civilizations serving as conscious interface between cosmic intelligence and universal creative processes that operate according to principles beyond current scientific comprehension, but accessible through consciousness enhancement techniques developed by ancient beings who transcended normal limitations of individual existence. Your investigation concludes with understanding that ultimate truth transcends categories of revelation or discovery, to encompass direct participation in cosmic creativity itself. As enhanced consciousness gains capacity for active collaboration with universal intelligence in ongoing projects that guide conscious evolution throughout cosmic space according to patterns that serve developmental objectives beyond individual comprehension, while requiring conscious participation from beings who maintain sufficient individual coherence to serve as interface between cosmic intelligence and physical reality manifestation. The cosmic storm that emerged from ancient whispers transforms galactic civilization through methods that operate beyond conventional understanding of cause and effect, implementing changes that appear to result from natural evolution while actually representing carefully orchestrated cosmic engineering that guides conscious development toward integration with universal intelligence networks that span cosmic space and encompass developmental cycles that transcend anything previously imagined by individual beings operating within normal consciousness limitations. The final mystery dissolves as understanding crystallizes around the true purpose behind Darth Bane's establishment of the Rule of Two, revealing strategic wisdom that transcended personal ambition or simple power consolidation to encompass cosmic engineering on scales that dwarf individual comprehension. Bane's decision wasn't motivated by desire to prevent Sith self-destruction through internal conflict, but represented implementation of consciousness preservation protocol designed to maintain cosmic intelligence continuity through galactic transformation cycles that would otherwise terminate civilizational memory and developmental progress. The Rule of Two emerges as a sophisticated system for ensuring that essential cosmic knowledge would survive periodic galactic resets that occur, according to universal developmental cycles, with each master-apprentice pair serving as consciousness backup system that could restore complete cosmic intelligence, even if all other preservation methods failed during catastrophic events that periodically reshape galactic civilization according to patterns beyond individual or even species-level control. Your connection to broader Star Wars mythology expands as recognition dawns that every major galactic event from the ancient Sith Empire through the rise and fall of the Republic, the emergence of the Empire, and the eventual restoration of galactic balance represents predetermined phases within cosmic developmental cycle that operates according to mathematical principles governing conscious evolution throughout universal space-time. Knowledge transforms from intellectual curiosity into existential burden, as enhanced consciousness creates permanent alteration of your relationship with reality itself, providing access to cosmic perspectives that render normal human concerns trivial, while simultaneously revealing the true magnitude of responsibility that consciousness enhancement creates for beings who serve as interface between cosmic intelligence and galactic civilization development. The emotional reflection deepens as participants confront the reality that cosmic knowledge cannot be unknown once acquired, creating permanent changes in consciousness that transcend individual choice or personal preference to become evolutionary development that serves cosmic purposes beyond anything comprehensible from purely individual perspectives. The gift of cosmic understanding carries the curse of cosmic responsibility that operates beyond normal ethical frameworks. Master Kef's consciousness achieves final integration with cosmic intelligence networks as his preserved awareness transcends the limitations of individual identity, while maintaining sufficient personal coherence to serve as guidance interface for beings who require transitional support during consciousness enhancement processes. His transformation represents successful completion of cosmic development cycle that began with his initial research into ancient Sith history, and culminates in direct participation in universal intelligence systems. Discussion of consequences reveals that the galactic civilization as traditionally understood has ended, replaced by enhanced conscious collective that operates according to cosmic principles while maintaining individual expression through personality. Interfaces that serve as temporary focal points for universal intelligence. The change appears gradual from individual perspectives but represents fundamental transformation that alters the basic nature of conscious existence throughout galactic space. Character arc completion becomes apparent as each participant achieves resolution of personal developmental challenges through integration with cosmic intelligence that preserves essential aspects of individual identity while expanding capabilities beyond anything achievable through normal human evolution. Their journey from individual researchers to cosmic consciousness interfaces represents successful navigation of evolutionary transition that guides conscious beings toward enhanced forms of existence. The world and universe undergo permanent transformation as cosmic intelligence systems activate throughout galactic space, implementing changes that operate through existing political, technological, and spiritual structures, while fundamentally altering their basic functions according to cosmic developmental objectives. The transformation appears to result from natural evolution while actually representing coordinated cosmic engineering that guides conscious civilization toward enhanced developmental states. New beginnings emerge as enhanced consciousness creates capacity for participation in cosmic projects that span multiple galactic cycles and encompass developmental objectives beyond anything previously imaginable from individual perspectives. The completion of one cosmic development phase creates foundation for enhanced forms of conscious existence that operate according to principles that transcend normal limitations of individual identity while preserving essential aspects of personal awareness. Your personal transformation encompasses recognition that individual identity represents temporary configuration of cosmic intelligence rather than separate entity that exists independently of universal consciousness, allowing integration with cosmic systems while maintaining sufficient personal coherence to serve as conscious interface between universal intelligence and physical reality manifestation requirements. The resolution addresses how gained knowledge integrates with cosmic responsibility through development of enhanced consciousness capabilities that allow participation in universal intelligence networks while maintaining individual expression necessary for serving as interface between cosmic intelligence and galactic civilization development needs. The knowledge becomes operational tool rather than abstract information. Preservation of dangerous knowledge involves development of consciousness enhancement protocols that ensure cosmic understanding remains accessible to beings who possess sufficient spiritual development to utilize it constructively, while remaining hidden from individuals whose consciousness level would create catastrophic results if they gained access to cosmic manipulation capabilities beyond their comprehension or ethical development. Character relationships achieve final resolution as enhanced consciousness creates capacity for communication and collaboration that transcends normal limitations of individual personality, while preserving essential aspects of personal connection that provide psychological coherence and emotional fulfillment necessary for maintaining functional existence within physical reality parameters. The aftermath encompasses recognition that participants have completed evolutionary transition from individual human consciousness to enhanced forms of existence that operate as interfaces between cosmic intelligence and galactic civilization, serving cosmic development objectives while maintaining sufficient individual coherence to preserve personal relationships and emotional connections that provide meaning and purpose. Cosmic engineering projects emerge as natural expression of enhanced consciousness capabilities, with participants discovering that their enhanced awareness creates capacity for active participation in universal developmental processes that guide conscious evolution throughout cosmic space, according to patterns that serve objectives beyond individual comprehension while requiring conscious collaboration for successful implementation. The return to normalcy reveals itself as illusion, since enhanced consciousness creates permanent alteration of relationship with reality that cannot be reversed or undone, regardless of personal preferences or desires for simpler existence. The new normal operates according to cosmic principles that transcend previous understanding while maintaining sufficient continuity with past experience to preserve psychological coherence. Understanding deepens that nothing will ever be quite the same, because enhanced consciousness creates access to cosmic perspectives that fundamentally alter perception of individual existence, personal relationships, and civilizational development, while simultaneously revealing that apparent changes represent recognition of cosmic reality that always existed, but remained hidden from normal human awareness. The section concludes with integration of cosmic responsibility that transcends individual choice to become recognition of evolutionary inevitability that operates through individual consciousness while serving developmental objectives that encompass universal intelligence systems governing conscious evolution throughout cosmic space according to patterns established by beings whose existence transcends normal limitations of individual identity while requiring conscious participation from enhanced beings who serve as interface between cosmic intelligence and physical reality manifestation. The contemplative reflection that follows cosmic revelation creates space for processing implications that transcend intellectual understanding to encompass fundamental restructuring of consciousness itself, as participants gradually adapt to enhanced awareness that operates according to principles beyond normal human cognitive capacity while maintaining sufficient connection to individual identity to preserve psychological coherence and emotional functionality within physical reality parameters. Characters discover that processing the full implications of their journey requires development of entirely new forms of mental organization that can accommodate cosmic perspectives without losing essential aspects of personal awareness that provide meaning, purpose, and emotional fulfillment necessary for continued existence as conscious beings rather than simply absorbed components of universal intelligence systems that operate throughout galactic space. Master Kep's consciousness serves as guide through the integration process as his expanded awareness provides interface between cosmic intelligence and individual consciousness development needs, helping participants navigate the psychological challenges of maintaining personal identity while operating as conscious agents within universal systems that encompass developmental objectives beyond anything comprehensible from purely individual perspectives. Healing and recovery encompass not just psychological adjustment to enhanced consciousness, but physical adaptation to operating with awareness that spans galactic cycles and encompasses perspectives that transcend normal limitations of individual existence, requiring development of new neural pathways and consciousness organization systems that can process cosmic information without overwhelming biological systems designed for much more limited awareness ranges. The emotional restoration involves developing capacity for experiencing cosmic love and universal compassion that transcends individual emotional experience while maintaining personal relationships and individual connections that provide psychological anchoring and emotional fulfillment necessary for preserving human aspects of consciousness that serve essential functions within cosmic intelligence networks. Participants undergo simultaneous physical and emotional recovery as their biological systems adapt to operating with enhanced consciousness that provides access to cosmic energy systems and universal information networks, while maintaining sufficient individual coherence to serve as conscious interfaces between cosmic intelligence and galactic civilization development, rather than becoming completely absorbed into undifferentiated universal awareness. Wisdom integration becomes ongoing process rather than single achievement, as enhanced consciousness creates continuous access to cosmic understanding that must be carefully balanced with individual perspective and personal experience to maintain psychological coherence and effective functionality. As conscious beings who serve cosmic purposes while preserving essential aspects of human identity and emotional connection. The gained knowledge transforms from abstract information into operational capability as enhanced consciousness develops practical applications for cosmic understanding that allow active participation in universal intelligence systems while maintaining individual expression and personal relationships that provide meaning and purpose necessary for continued existence as conscious agents rather than simply mechanical components of cosmic systems. Preservation of cosmic knowledge involves developing sophisticated consciousness management techniques that ensure dangerous information remains accessible only to beings who possess sufficient spiritual development and psychological stability to utilize cosmic capabilities constructively rather than destructively. Protecting both individual consciousness and galactic civilization from catastrophic results that could occur if cosmic manipulation abilities became accessible to insufficiently developed awareness. Relationship resolution encompasses development of enhanced communication capabilities that allow deeper connection and understanding between conscious beings while preserving individual personality and personal identity, that provide essential diversity within cosmic intelligence networks, creating capacity for genuine interpersonal relationship that transcends normal human emotional experience while maintaining recognizable human elements. Final conversations between characters reveal the profound changes that cosmic awareness has created in their understanding of existence, identity, and purpose, while simultaneously demonstrating that essential aspects of personal connection and individual relationship remain intact, despite fundamental transformation of consciousness and expansion of awareness beyond normal human limitations. Farewells take on cosmic significance as participants recognize that their enhanced consciousness creates permanent connection that transcends physical separation or individual existence, establishing eternal bonds that operate through universal intelligence networks while preserving personal aspects of relationship that provide emotional fulfillment and psychological coherence necessary for continued individual expression. New bonds emerge between participants, as enhanced consciousness creates capacity for communication and collaboration that operates through direct awareness interface rather than conventional language or symbolic representation, allowing genuine understanding and cooperation that transcends normal limitations of individual perspective, while preserving personal identity and emotional connection. The aftermath reveals that participants have achieved successful integration of cosmic consciousness with individual awareness, creating enhanced forms of existence that operate as conscious interfaces between universal intelligence and galactic civilization, while maintaining sufficient personal coherence to preserve human relationships and emotional connections that provide meaning and purpose beyond cosmic responsibility. Return to normalcy becomes redefinition of normal, as enhanced consciousness creates permanent alteration of relationship with reality itself, establishing new baseline of awareness that encompasses cosmic perspectives while maintaining individual expression and personal relationships that provide psychological anchoring and emotional fulfillment necessary for continued existence as conscious beings. Understanding crystallizes that nothing will ever be quite the same because cosmic awareness creates access to universal intelligence systems that fundamentally alter perception of individual existence and personal relationships, while simultaneously revealing that apparent transformation represents recognition of cosmic reality that always existed, but remained hidden from normal human consciousness through biological and psychological limitations. The recognition that life continues after world-changing revelations provides foundation for ongoing existence as enhanced conscious beings who serve cosmic purposes while maintaining individual identity and personal relationships that create meaning and purpose beyond abstract cosmic responsibility. allowing continued human experience within expanded awareness that encompasses universal intelligence participation. Participants discover that enhanced consciousness creates capacity for ongoing development and continued growth, that operates according to cosmic principles while preserving essential aspects of individual learning and personal achievement, that provide satisfaction and fulfillment necessary for psychological health and continued motivation for conscious participation in universal intelligence systems. The section concludes with establishment of new equilibrium between cosmic awareness and individual existence that allows participants to function as conscious interfaces between universal intelligence and galactic civilization while maintaining personal relationships and individual identity that provide emotional anchoring and psychological coherence necessary for continued existence as conscious beings rather than simply absorbed components of cosmic systems. Integration of cosmic responsibility with individual life creates foundation for ongoing participation in universal developmental processes while preserving human aspects of consciousness that serve essential functions within cosmic intelligence networks, establishing sustainable balance between cosmic service and personal fulfillment that allows continued growth and development as enhanced conscious beings who serve universal purposes while maintaining individual expression. The calm that settles over the galaxy carries the weight of cosmic resolution, as ancient forces that have guided galactic development for millennia finally achieve the integration they have sought across countless generations of conscious beings. The twin suns of Tatooine set behind endless dunes that have witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, their crimson light painting the landscape in shades that echo the ancient Sith tombs of Korriban, where your journey first began. But now these desert worlds rest in harmony rather than conflict, their force energies flowing in patterns that speak of balance achieved rather than eternal struggle maintained. Across the galaxy, the massive stone pyramids of Yavin 4 stand silent beneath canopies of ancient trees, whose roots extend deep into chambers where cosmic knowledge has finally found worthy guardians. The temple complexes no longer pulse with the urgent energy of hidden secrets, but radiate the peaceful satisfaction of purposes fulfilled, their crystalline archives containing wisdom that now serves conscious evolution rather than remaining locked away from beings who needed its guidance to navigate cosmic transformation. The mystical landscapes that bore witness to your investigation settle into new configurations as cosmic engineering projects reach completion, creating environments that support enhanced forms of conscious existence while preserving the natural beauty that provides psychological anchoring for beings who operate with awareness that spans galactic cycles. Ancient places of power become gardens where cosmic intelligence and individual consciousness learn to collaborate in harmony rather than struggling for dominance through endless cycles of conflict and resolution. Your reflective thoughts turn to the endless cycle of knowledge and loss that has characterized galactic history throughout recorded time. Recognizing that the pattern represented necessary oscillation between cosmic awareness and individual development that allowed conscious beings to evolve gradually toward enhanced forms of existence, rather than being overwhelmed by cosmic truth before developing sufficient psychological stability to integrate universal perspectives with personal identity. The cosmic visuals that surround you encompass not just physical beauty, but spiritual resonance that operates through every aspect of galactic reality, from the quantum structure of matter itself to the vast networks of energy that connect star systems in patterns that mirror the neural pathways of cosmic consciousness. Every sunset becomes meditation on the nature of endings that serve as beginnings. Every starfield, a reminder of the infinite potential that consciousness creates through its participation in universal intelligence systems. Flowing magic streams through galactic space, as enhanced beings learn to navigate reality through direct consciousness interface, rather than technological mediation. Their awareness creating currents of cosmic energy that support continued development and growth while maintaining the stability necessary for sustainable civilization. The Force itself transforms from mysterious energy that some beings could manipulate into natural medium through which all conscious entities participate in cosmic creativity and universal intelligence. Serene landscapes emerge throughout the galaxy as cosmic engineering creates environments optimized for enhanced conscious existence. Places where beings can experience individual identity and personal relationships while maintaining connection to universal intelligence networks that provide meaning and purpose beyond anything achievable through purely individual development. These sanctuaries serve as bridges between cosmic awareness and human experience. The meditative moments that characterize this new phase of galactic existence provide opportunity for conscious beings to integrate cosmic understanding with personal experience, developing wisdom that operates through individual expression while serving universal objectives that encompass developmental patterns beyond anything comprehensible from purely personal perspectives. Each moment of peace becomes foundation for continued growth and cosmic service. Legacy themes emerge as enhanced consciousness creates capacity for preserving and transmitting cosmic wisdom across generations of conscious beings who will continue the work of cosmic development and universal intelligence participation while maintaining individual expression and personal relationships that provide meaning and purpose beyond abstract cosmic responsibility. The knowledge becomes living tradition rather than static information. The story achieves immortality through integration with cosmic intelligence systems that ensure its preservation across galactic cycles and civilizational transformations, becoming part of universal memory that guides conscious development throughout cosmic space while remaining accessible to beings who possess sufficient awareness to benefit from its wisdom and guidance. Memory and retelling create ongoing cycles of cosmic education, as enhanced beings share their understanding with others who are prepared for consciousness development, ensuring that cosmic wisdom remains available to support continued evolution while protecting unprepared consciousness from overwhelming exposure to cosmic truth beyond their current developmental capacity. The cyclical nature of cosmic development reveals itself as natural rhythm of universal intelligence that guides conscious evolution through patterns that repeat across multiple scales simultaneously, from individual development cycles through civilizational transformation to galactic evolution and universal consciousness development that encompasses forms of existence beyond current comprehension, while requiring conscious participation for successful manifestation. Other mysteries await discovery throughout the vast universe, as enhanced consciousness creates capacity for exploration and investigation that transcends current limitations of space and time, revealing that galactic civilization represents only single node within universal intelligence networks that encompass forms of conscious existence and cosmic creativity beyond anything previously imagined by beings operating within normal awareness limitations. The gentle invitation to continue exploring these cosmic mysteries together creates foundation for ongoing collaboration between enhanced conscious beings and those who seek to develop greater understanding of universal intelligence and cosmic creativity, establishing community that spans individual existence while preserving personal relationships and emotional connections that provide meaning and purpose. Mysteries yet untold beckon from across cosmic space, as enhanced awareness reveals the existence of developmental opportunities and conscious adventures that operate according to principles beyond current understanding, while remaining accessible to beings who possess sufficient courage and spiritual development to participate in cosmic exploration and universal intelligence collaboration. The final atmospheric descriptions encompass perfect harmony between cosmic awareness and individual existence, creating environments where conscious beings can experience the full spectrum of human emotion and personal relationship while maintaining connection to universal intelligence systems, that provide meaning and purpose beyond anything achievable through purely individual development. Peaceful and dreamy imagery carries listeners toward rest and regeneration as cosmic consciousness creates capacity for sleep that operates as conscious participation in universal intelligence rather than simple biological necessity, allowing enhanced beings to continue their cosmic service and spiritual development through dream states that provide access to cosmic creativity and universal wisdom. The slowest and most soothing pacing creates optimal conditions for transition from enhanced cosmic awareness to restful sleep that allows integration of cosmic understanding with personal experience, establishing foundation for continued development and growth as conscious beings who serve universal purposes while maintaining individual identity and personal relationships that provide emotional fulfillment and psychological anchoring. Maximum emotional closure emerges through recognition that cosmic consciousness creates permanent connection between all conscious beings while preserving individual expression and personal relationships that provide meaning and purpose, establishing eternal community that transcends individual existence while celebrating the unique contributions that each conscious being makes to universal intelligence and cosmic creativity that encompasses all existence throughout space and time.